surprised that Wayne Manor is probably cursed because look at Bruce Wayne's entire life. He's gone through so much trauma and just horribleness as both Bruce Wayne and the Batman. I'm not surprised that even where he lays his head down at day, sometimes at night, but never at night, that it would be a problem. It's quite fitting for the Dark Knight to just have nothing go right for him. Welcome back, Gothamites. If you're new here, hello. I'm London, aka History of the Batman. Wayne Manor's history involving monsters, ghosts, burglaries, natural disasters, and any and everything in between is quite a defining place for the Batman to reside. If Wayne Manor, in particular the Batcave under Wayne Manor, is supposedly a safe haven for Bruce Wayne, or really the Batman, to be his true self, then what does it mean when your safe space isn't really safe at all? In this video, we will explore the origins of this stately manor and many of the hardships and trauma that Wayne Manor itself has faced, and how that reflects upon Batman and the Batman family, and what it really teaches us about this dynamic mythos within the DC multiverse. Before we spend some good old time in the stately Wayne Manor, why don't you subscribe to this channel and become part of this wonderful Gothamite community? Usually when you discuss the foundation of Gotham City, from its Gothic architecture to its thriving businesses, such as Wayne Enterprises or Wayne Industries. I'm actually wearing a Wayne Industries shirt today, so thank you, Warner Brothers, for sending this shirt to me like almost 2 years ago. I still love it. It's still great. The Wayne family is connected through and through as to how we see Gotham City today. While all of this is documented in modern stories such as Scott Beatty's Upon the Shoulders of Giants, when discussing stories from the golden age of the 1940s and 1950s, Wayne Manor wasn't actually descended upon Bruce Wayne from his ancestors. In more modern tales, however, the Wayne family, back to Gotham's original settlement, began to build Wayne Manor, and even has its own cursed origins. In Rick Veitch's Heroes of the Revolution, we learned that in 1799, Bruce Wayne's ancestor, Darius Wayne, began to build Wayne Manor on land he acquired after a successful battle against the British. This 19th century construction is further explored to have a more haunting completion seen in Grant Morrison's 2010 series, Batman: The Return of Bruce Wayne. As Bruce travels through time after his altercation with Darkseid and the Omega Beams, the reader learns that brothers Solomon Wayne and Joshua Thomas Wayne in the 1860s were using the underground caverns on their land to free slaves in Gotham City. To distract Gothamites from knowing the true use of this land, Solomon decides to build a magnificent mansion atop the cavern. This construction of the stately manor was halted due to the death of Joshua by bounty hunters. As the manor sat unfinished, those in town believed that it was haunted by the ghost of Joshua Wayne. I love the fact that you know that Bruce Wayne's father, Thomas Wayne, was named after Joshua Thomas Wayne, and they both were murdered. If you look at just the Wayne family in general, sure, business-wise they were immensely successful, but like everything else in their life was just not clicking. Like, poor Bruce. he didn't stand a chance, did he? He wasn't given an opportunity to be happy. Like, that just was not in the cards for this man. That's unfortunate anyway. But eventually, Wayne Manor was finished. It was handed down from generation to generation, including given to Dr. Thomas Wayne, and him and his wife Martha Wayne and their young son Bruce Wayne lived in the manor. And as we know through Bruce Wayne's Batman's origin story, Thomas and Martha were gunned down in Gotham City's crime alley. Bruce was taken in by his legal guardian and butler and father figure, an amazing character, Alfred Pennyworth, and those underground caverns that Solomon and Joshua used to free slaves in Gotham was evidently used in the future as Bruce Wayne's Batcave, where he would have his base of operations for his vigilante activities as the Dark Knight of Gotham City. While we see Bruce Wayne in this home talking with Commissioner James Gordon in their 1939 debut in the pages of Detective Comics 27, we do learn more about Wayne Manor within this Golden Age era. For example, Bruce Wayne's home address is 224 Park Drive, Gotham City, USA, seen in David Verne's 1952 story, The Secrets of Batman's Utility Belt. But of course, in other modern media, such as TV shows from like Batman, the animated series, to I think even Gotham, they say that Wayne Manor's address is like 1007 Mountain Drive in Gotham. But really, any address that's given to Wayne Manor shows that it is on a large piece of land on the outskirts of Gotham City because, let's face it, Bruce Wayne is ballin'. We always have to have a very stately mansion when we're talking about Bruce Wayne. So that's always nice. That's probably like the only nice thing about Wayne Manor is that when Bruce really does want some privacy, for the most part, he can get it. In the first issues of Batman and Detective Comics, the reader observes that Wayne Manor used to be the place where Bruce Wayne would transform into the Batman, seen in 1939's The Batman Wars Against the Dirigible of Doom. In Bill Finger's 1954 story, The Origin of the Batcave, we learn about Bruce Wayne's acquisition of his new stately home in Gotham City that would be called Wayne Mansion or Wayne Manor. In this Earth 2 story, Bruce accidentally discovers the Batcave and decides to use that location under the manor to have his base of operations for his Batman persona. As Bruce's stately home has been mostly a reliable place to keep his active vigilante lifestyle afloat, in early Batman stories, Wayne Manor many times has been broken into by criminals and some even discovering the secret Batcave. From Alfred Beagle's debut in Here Comes Alfred to escaped prisoner Wolf Brando in The 1000 Secrets of the Batcave, both of these tales put the Batman and Boy Wonder's secret identities in danger. Which I think is interesting because there are stories within the Golden Age that show that Bruce and Dick Grayson do have some type of an alarm system, especially if someone gets close to the Batcave or anywhere near the entrances of the Batcave. But clearly these alarms are trash, just like the security at Arkham Asylum. Who is the company behind the security that happens all throughout Gotham City? I'm gonna guess, if I had to guess, that some type of Wayne Enterprises business deals with the security in Gotham. So maybe he needs to look into that. But anyway, all of these early stories and the evolving mythos of not just Wayne Manor, but also Batman and his own mythology, really start to set up the idea that Wayne Manor really isn't the safest place for someone such as Bruce Wayne, who is housing probably the biggest secret in Gotham City. And the incidents that happen in Wayne Manor in the following decades get much, much worse. Thanks to the 1966 television series Batman starring Adam West, the stately Wayne Manor became as much a part of popular culture as the dynamic duo and the colorful rogues themselves within the very popular TV show. But shortly after the cancellation of the Batman show in 1968, Wayne Manor in comics would actually become quite abandoned over the next decade. So in the late 1960s, after about 30 years in DC Comics, Dick Grayson's Robin the Teen Wonder finally decides that he should get that college degree, and he goes off to Hudson University, which meant a new chapter for both Bruce Wayne and Alfred Pennyworth. In Frank Robbins' One Bullet Too Many, in 1969's Batman issue 217, Bruce and Alfred decide to leave the large stately manor and downsize their living arrangements to live in the Wayne Foundation penthouse, which lasts throughout the 1970s to the early 1980s. While Bruce loaned Wayne Manor to the Historical Society of Gotham, he will let those in need stay in the empty estate or use it for special occasions, whether business or personal. There are several times during this Bronze Age era, however, that Wayne Manor is seen by Gothamites as being filled with monsters or is really haunted, adding another aura to the history of this estate's very villainous activity. In 1973's A Monster Walks Wayne Manor, once hearing that Bruce Wayne, who he knows to be the Batman, is not living in the manor, Ra's al Ghul and his strongman Ubu decide to break into Wayne Manor and the Batcave to destroy everything and to attack other trespassers. This actually leads to Alfred Pennyworth, who goes to the manor to check out what's happening and if these trespassers are vandalizing the home, to be attacked by Ubu and almost die by his hands, and that will never be okay. Anything that happens to this precious gem of a Batman family character is just wrong. Because Alfred gets attacked, Bruce has to come up as Batman, stop all the riffraff, and he actually has a final battle with Ubu, and this leads to Ubu's death. Mind you, Batman didn't kill him because, we don't do that. But you almost killed Alfred, so I say that's a win. But Wayne Manor also deals with the supernatural, such as a 1979 story, The Ghost That Haunted Batman, which was written by Lin Wein. The Batman learns the villain Gentleman Ghost has been residing in the empty Wayne Manor in order to restore many of its disturbed artifacts and architecture inside the home, resulting in having Alfred Pennyworth under his control as his master. Once again, why y'all messing with Alfred? That is so inconsiderate. But it's okay, because Alfred snaps out of this trance because Gentleman Ghost asks him to kill Batman, and he's like, I am Bruce Wayne's father, basically. Why would I kill my son? And he's like, no, we're not doing that. But then it's fun because Batman decides to have a final go at Gentleman Ghost, and it ends up on Wayne Manor property, but in like horse and buggies, because of course it does. I mean, look at Gentleman Ghost. I wouldn't expect anything else, and I love it. And Gentleman Ghost even comes back shortly after to Wayne Manor when Bruce Wayne is throwing a charity ball inside the empty Wayne Manor. And Gentleman Ghost decides, I'm just gonna terrorize guests here because I love to haunt this place. But one story that is a little bit more innocent than the other two hauntings comes in Jerry Conway and Irv Novik's 1981 story, The Ghosts of Wayne Mansion. When reports come in saying the empty Wayne Manor is haunted, as Commissioner Gordon begins to investigate, the Batman goes to seal the entrances to the old Batcave, but finds the Man-Bat in his lair. Kirk Langstrom apparently tries to make a new serum to transform him into Man-Bat. However, this concoction really didn't go well, and it's making Kirk Langstrom just lose his humanity, and he is just a very violent, monstrous Man-Bat. Not only does Bruce Wayne have to find the antidote to help Man-Bat, but Batman has to fight this now very inhumane creature. But in 1981, shortly after this Man-Bat event, Bruce Wayne, Alfred Pennyworth, and with the help of Dick Grayson, move back into Wayne Manor. And this is in one of my favorite stories. It's from 1981, and it's a Jerry Conway story called Shadow Play. And I love it because in the first pages, and then shortly after, towards the end, you see them moving back into Wayne Manor, in particular, moving large trophies back into the Batcave, including the giant penny. And I just love the juxtaposition between doing something very mundane, such as moving into a new home, but moving these very extravagant, very not mundane items, and it just kind of shows what the Batman mythos is. It's very human, but also extraordinarily so. Throughout the 1980s, Bruce and Alfred would live in Wayne Manor, even taking in a new young ward in Jason Todd, who would become the second Robin. But seemingly after Todd's tragic murder by the hands of the Joker and Jim Starlin's death in the family, Bruce goes through a deep depression and even removes any and everything reminding him of Jason in the manor, and especially the Batcave. The event of Jason Todd's death can be seen as almost a catalyst to very bad and cursed moments that happened to Batman and the Batman family within Wayne Manor over the following several decades. One memorable moment is in the 1993 saga Batman Nightfall, when the steroid-filled Bane, who knows Bruce Wayne's secret identity, breaks into Wayne Manor and attacks Bruce through the bottom floor and the Batcave, ultimately breaking his spine. After Bruce steps down from the mantle to heal and gives it to John Paul Valley, John Paul decides to use only the Batcave and abandon Wayne Manor for the months he is Azrael Batman, resulting in criminals to vandalize the mansion. Bruce Wayne as Batman fights Azrael Batman to to gain back the mantle with their final battle at Wayne Manor. Another memorable but quite destructive time for the Batman family and Wayne Manor comes in the 1999 year-long saga Batman No Man's Land. A 7.6 massive earthquake shook Gotham to its core, including Wayne Manor and the Batcave, that resulted in devastation. After the US government cut aid to Gotham that resulted in the city being abandoned and having to fend for itself, Lex Luthor helped the reconstruction of the city and residents such as Wayne Manor. But shortly after this resolution, Bruce Wayne and the Batman mantle itself faced many trials during the pre-New 52 era, and all seemingly happening in Wayne Manor. Several examples include Bruce Wayne's girlfriend, Vesper Fairchild, found dead on the floor of Wayne Manor, with Bruce Wayne being charged for murder, and Bruce Wayne Murderer. In Paul Dini and Dustin Nguyen's Detective Comics arc Heart of Hush, when Thomas Elliot's Hush surgically changes his face to look like Bruce Wayne's, he tries to seize Wayne Manor and attacks Alfred Pennyworth. And in the series Batman R.I.P., when the Black Glove organization would take over Wayne Manor and the Batcave in order to kidnap both Commissioner Gordon and Alfred Pennyworth, which all occurred during and after the time Bruce Wayne would take up the crazy mantle of Zernal Batman. Throughout the next decade, Bruce Wayne would be out of continuity for about a year's time in comics, with Dick Grayson taking up the mantle as Batman. He will return shortly before the New 52 begins in 2011 as the Batman of Gotham. And Wayne Manor would be the main base of operations through the New 52, DC Rebirth, and DC Universe comics of today. It is undeniable that since its construction, Wayne Manor has been the place of vandalism, burglaries, hauntings, and overall seeing horrific moments that happen to Batman and the Batman family. And really, it almost makes sense that Wayne Manor would have such a dark history, because look at the person that resides in Wayne Manor, Bruce Wayne, who has been dealing with trauma of his own since his parents died at a very, very young age. The Batman persona itself, whether looking at the man Bruce Wayne or the mantle of the Caped Crusader, goes through trials and tribulations that really anyone else that would have to go through that probably wouldn't survive, including Batman's safe haven of his stately mansion. However, both Batman and Wayne Manor have risen through the ashes over the last 8 decades, making this piece of iconography within Batman's mythos one of the most fascinating to observe, both in comics and outside of comics. And how the good and the bad that Batman's home has faced truly has molded the Caped Crusader that we know and love within this DC multiverse. Thank you guys so much for watching this video discussing a brief history of Wayne Manor and why it probably is a cursed estate within the DC multiverse. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a bat thumbs up. As always, all of my social media is linked in the description below, including Instagram at History of the Batman. So why don't you give it a follow and become a Gothamite? Check out the rest of my Batman videos on this channel, and of course, please subscribe to this channel so you can become part of this Batman community. It would mean so much to me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will have much more History of the Batman soon, right here on YouTube. Remember, Gothamites, all about peace, love, and Batman. Bye.